Hi guys, my name is Blythe and I'm with guysgirl.com, and today I want to talk about the 5 biggest mistakes that I see bloggers and broadcasters making online, especially if you work in sports media. Now, back when I started in 2009, the blogging world and the Twitter world were essentially all you needed in order to work in sports. But today, it's not the case anymore. You have to be a 5-tool player. You have to be willing to adapt. But with those adaptations and with evolution as far as how we cover sports and how we digest sports, the landscape has completely changed, and you need to be able to keep up with the times, but you also need to avoid these mistakes. Let's begin. Number 1 on the list is you don't put the visitor experience first. Have you ever been on Twitter or you've been on another social media platform or whatever, wherever you consume your sports, and you click on an article and you start reading the article and you get about a paragraph through and then the article automatically redirects you to the App Store? That's not a good thing. You shouldn't be having that on your website. And if you do have that on your website, chances are it's rooted in the way your ad structure is set up. The way these sort of spammy tactics work is that an ad virus will infiltrate your website based off of the ads that you're showing on your website, and it automatically redirects the user to these App Store games or, the trial competitions, whatever it redirects you. It creates a bad user experience. And I see that often with a lot of sports blogs, is that you're not putting your visitor first. You need to actively be using your website on your own, on a mobile device. You need to use it. I read a story one time where Facebook, they forced all of their employees to avoid the desktop Facebook version, and they could only use Facebook with their mobile phone. And so that forced them to put themselves in the eyes of the visitor, of the reader, of the viewer, whoever you're trying to get to your content, of where you want them to read your work or listen to your work or watch your work. You need to make sure that that experience is very, very good for them. I don't know as far as like your traffic, if what's resonating with your visitors. If you don't know those things, you can install free tools like Google Analytics. Sumo.com is another great option to be able to see what's resonating with your visitors. You want to make sure that whatever content you're putting out there, you're putting the visitor first. And while a lot of people have a website to showcase their work, you still have to put your visitor first, because people on the web are selfish. They want to see what they want to see when they want to see it. And if you're not providing that for them, then they're just going to go somewhere else and get that same information. Number 2 on my list is social media. Whenever a story breaks, I see a lot of bloggers, I see a lot of broadcasters or media personalities, they'll go right to Twitter and they'll let you know exactly their opinion in a string of tweets. But guess what? That doesn't do anything for you or your brand, except for maybe get a few extra followers or get a few hate tweets in return or start up an interesting debate. Whatever you're trying to go for, you need to take that opinion, take that view, and put it on the air. Put it in writing. And then you go to these social platforms in order to direct that traffic, direct that conversation and that audience to your website. You can put little snippets, little previews of your opinion on social media, but ultimately you always want to be driving them back, driving your listeners, your viewers back to an actionable cause. And really the only way you can control that is by having a website and directing all of your audience to the website to hear your full opinion, to read your full opinion, or to watch it. Your website needs to be your home base, not these social media accounts where you have zero control over how your information is displayed. If you don't have interaction, a Facebook study was released recently that if you don't have interaction on your post within the first 5 minutes of the post, your post is going to disappear from your entire audience. So what you want to do is you want to put teaser clips on social media, but ultimately you want to use those teaser clips and those opinions, teaser opinions as well, or teaser tweets, I guess I should say, to put those on your website. You want to drive people back to your website because that's where you can get them to perform a call to action, where you can get them to sign up for your email newsletter, to follow your other social media accounts. Maybe you have another platform where you're more engaged, where you're more active. Say you're only active on Twitter a couple times a week, but you're more active on Instagram. You want to use those platforms to send traffic to your website, to have the visitor and hopefully have them complete a goal goal of yours, either to sign up for a newsletter, follow your social media accounts, comment on your article, share your article. All of those things are very, very good things that you want the visitor or the reader to do. So stop putting everything on social media, put it on your website instead, and then promote it. And this goes for podcasters too. If you have a great opinion, you want people to listen to that opinion on your podcast, and then take that podcast, record it, take that embed feed, and put it on your website. And then that way you can tease people and you can get people to subscribe to your podcast by having a home base. Because then with tracking software, like I mentioned before, Google Analytics or Sumo.com, then you could take those actions and you can test them in the analytics programs to see what's resonating with your audience. And then you can tailor it accordingly. Number 3 on my list sort of ties in with number 2. You want to make sure that all of your content in today, 2017 sports media age, you want to start with video. Everything is video based. That's where the market's going. It's been going in that trajectory for a few years now. So you want to make sure that even if you aren't comfortable on camera, you have to make sure that you get comfortable with it, because times are changing. You have to adapt to survive. And so all of your content should really start with video first. You start with video first, just like I'm doing here. And what I'll do after this is I'll take the audio and I'll throw it into a podcast. I'll take video clips and I'll put them on social media. But what I'll do with those is that I'll take those things and I'll drive it to a central place, my website, in order for the visitor to get the full experience, the full opinion, the full video. You want to drive your visitors to your website for the end goal, just like I talked about in step 2, but you want to make sure that you start with video first, because once you have video, you have so many different ways to splice that content up into more content for your website. So say like with this video in particular, I have 5 tips. I can take one of these tips, put one of those tips on Twitter. I take another tip, I put another one on Facebook. You take another one, you put it on Instagram, with the ultimate goal of driving all of those viewers with unique content, and you drive them to your website for the full experience. Number 4, and speaking of websites, if you're not pulling in at least 10,000 views a day on your website, having ads on your site is damn near worthless. And when I say ads, I'm talking about the banner ads or like the Google programs, or things like Taboola, Outbrain, things like that back in the day, those you were seen as top quality blogger in order to get those kind of platforms on your site. I remember Taboola, one time I reached out to them because as a newer type blogger, this was years ago, as a newer type blogger, I wanted their ads on my platform. And because I saw it as a way to make money, but they had to have it, you had to have at least 1 million views or something. That was the requirements back in the day, but you had to have at least 1 million views in a year in order to have Taboola ads on your website. And I remember I had an article go viral and I was really disappointed I got turned down, but then I had an article go viral that allowed me to meet those requirements. And so I went back to Taboola, got the approval to get their ads on my site, started running their ads on my site. And you know what? I didn't like them. They were I don't want to say like ugly type ads, but they were like the spammy type ads, like the burn belly, stubborn belly fat, and 12 nude celebrities that you would never believe. Click this link. The clickbait spammy stuff. And I found that it really just damaged the reader, the viewer experience on my website. And so I chose to forego that ad platform and get rid of all ad platforms in general from my website. And I don't want to say like all ad platforms, because bloggers got to eat too. You got to be able to make some money off your website, but there are other ways that you can make money off of your website. You can do it through sponsored content. You can do it by working with local companies who share your brand, especially if you work in sports, like a beer company or a tailgate company or a food company. Any of those things create value, long-term value for you and your audience. If you're working with local companies, that increases your credibility as far as your audience is concerned, and you can showcase that, and you can work with companies that you genuinely want to work with, and you don't have to worry about showing these spammy ads on your website that, number one, they're not going to convert. You're going to make maybe 2 or 3 cents off of those ads, and they just look bad on your website. And you won't have, unless you're like a Sports Illustrated or, a Huffington Post, you're not going to be able to have the pull with those type of companies to tell them, I don't want ads like that on my website. It's more of like you have to deal with what you get as a blogger, but you can also have the option of saying no to those things and choosing other income routes, such as affiliate income. And like I said before, guest posting is really, really big for me personally. And you're just offering up a friendlier reader experience, but you're also earning income, and significantly more income than you will ever get from syndicated ads like that. So keep that in mind before you start sticking in, like an Outbrain or a Taboola into your website, because you really want to keep the reader experience involved or as a priority, because if you don't, you're going to lose those readers and you're going to lose those visitors, because they're going to come to your website and they're going to be bombarded with ads, and they're never going to subscribe. They're never going to engage with your social media platforms. They're going to think you're a little spammy. Now, these companies might have gotten a little bit better about it, but ask yourself this question. When was the last time you clicked on a banner ad? Probably never. I can't remember the last time I've clicked on a banner ad. I have ad blockers installed on my browsers, so I hardly ever even see them. So just keep that in mind before you rush to monetize your website. Make sure you're monetizing in the right way and not a way that's going to turn off the majority of your readers and visitors and listeners versus other revenue streams that you can take. And number 5, last but not least, crediting photographers. This was a big mistake that I made back in my day when I first started in 2009, where I needed an image for an article. And what I would do is I would just go right to Google. I'd do a little search. I'd find an image that looked great for the article. I'd stick it right in, and that was the end of it, until I got into a little bit of trouble. And what you have in today's age is that you have these, I don't want to call them ambulance chasers of law firms, but they kind of are, but they partner with photographers and media companies like Getty and the AP all across the country. And what they do is they do a reverse image search, and they find out where that image is hosted at online. And if you're just a part-time blogger or you're a small-time blogger trying to work your way up there, they find that image that you're not supposed to use on your website, and they're coming for you. You're going to get a cease and desist. You're going to get a request for the photographer fees, and rightfully so. You have these photographers out there that are busting their ass. They're trying to get exposure for their work, and here you are. You're taking the easy way out, and you're taking an image, stealing an image, and posting it to your website and acting as if it's your own. That's not the way you should be doing things. I learned that the hard way, and I also learned it as far as a respect factor when I started working for a local magazine, Void Magazine here in Jacksonville, Florida. And you see the hard work that the photographers get, and when they don't get credit for their work, they're looking for exposure for their work just like you are with your articles. And if you're not giving it to them, then you're in the wrong. And that's just like somebody taking an entire article of yours or an entire video and straight up copying and pasting it and presenting it as their own. That's what you're doing when you're stealing an image off the internet and not crediting the photographer. This isn't one of those cases where it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. No, you always want to ask for permission, because it goes a long way with photographers too. Imagine if you reached out to a photographer and you set up that relationship with them, and then you're getting more images in the future from them and you're giving them proper credit. Or if you don't have a relationship with a photographer, you don't feel like asking, then what you need to do is you need to go right to Twitter, you need to go right to Instagram or right to Facebook. You find the image that you want and you embed the post. A lot of times if you look off to the side of like a tweet or an Instagram photo, you click the little 3 dots or you click the drop down arrow in a tweet, it'll say embed this tweet, embed this item. And what you can do is you can copy that code that it gives you, paste it right into your website, so you're getting the photo that you deserve, and you're also giving the exposure to the media company who has either purchased those rights or the photographer. I still caution on the side of always giving the photographers credit, because you do have photographers that are working with a company like Getty Images or AP or USA Today. They're working with those bigger companies, and those companies pay them for those photos. But the photographer still wants credit for that photo because they're trying to get their name out there just like you are. And so I think it really goes a long way to create personal relationships with photographers, get their permission, get that working in order, and then you have another avenue for someone to share your work. Imagine if you form a close relationship with a photographer and they move up the ranks just as well as you do, and then you're promoting these articles, you're tagging that photographer in the work, and they want to share your article with their work included in it. So they're sharing it with their network and their network of photographers, and that just creates sort of a Christmas tree effect of growing using your network in the right way, because if you get pegged as someone who just steals images and doesn't give any credit where credit is due, then photographers are not going to want to work with you, and you're going to end up getting sued. And there's nothing you can do about it because you didn't follow the rules and you stole someone's content. So be nice about it. Ask for permission. If you can't find the photographer that's listed on the photo that you're trying to get, then you need to go to Twitter, you need to go to Instagram and embed that photo so proper credit is given to the company that's actually paying for those photos to be produced. And last but not least, if you liked this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button at the bottom. And if you're feeling a little fancy free today, I also have an email subscription listed in the description. If you'd be so kind just to give that a follow and give it a little click and hit subscribe, I would be much appreciated. This has been another video from guysgirl.com. Look for guysgirl.com to do more videos like this in the future, especially with football season gearing up here soon.